So we have a few people that are logged on. I hope we didn't lose anybody. We've got Treefish, Larry Gonzalez, Dan, and Melody. And that looks like, and me, of course. And I'm Joe Devlin. I'm from Tacoma, Washington. And I'm the organizer for the Tacoma JavaScript group. And we've been doing meetups for about 2 years. And one of the things that I have been kind of challenged with is how to get people to work together. And what seems to happen is people show up with their Macs or their PCs, or some people hack Linux onto their PCs. And of course, there's all different versions, and we get the, oh, it works on mine, but not on whatever. And so I was really pretty excited when one of the guys said, hey, we're doing something that's called mob programming. And so I looked it up, and I've been trying to promote it, at least within the group. It might not be the best thing for every situation, but that's what this is for. And there's 3 slides here because that's the way SlideShare works. You have to have 3 sort of almost blank slides. So we're going to look at cloud9.io, the collaboration tool. And I had to do a picture and put something little kind of like an icebreaker in there, so sure, it's easier to find bugs when we're working as a team. And the definition of mob programming is simple. It's when we're working on the same thing at the same time in the same space and at the same computer. And I believe, oh yeah, the links don't work in here, but there will be links in the next slides. So it looks pretty much like this. There's a navigator, a driver, and an audience that participates. And there's a rotation depending on with a time frame, depending on the needs of the group. Maybe shorter or a little bit longer, depending on the project. So the navigator is going to do the thinking about the direction that the project should go, and verbally describes and discusses the next steps of what the code must do. So that's kind of the algorithm side. They have the picture in mind, like this is my idea for how we're going to implement this, and the driver takes what the navigator is saying and converts it into code. And so that's pretty intimidating, I suppose, if maybe if you haven't done this before. And it works out pretty well, however, if you're trying to get, maybe you don't know everything. Like me, I work on stuff and somebody will say, oh, you need to use a little Python script there. And I'm like, okay, tell me what that is. And so then they'll tell me, and it works that way. So if the driver is not highly skilled, then the rest of the team can help that driver by guiding him and give him an idea for how to create the code. And it could be, depending on if you're working with a new person or somebody that's maybe has a little more experience, you might have to tell them, letter by letter, okay, you've got the syntax wrong. And it's a little bit painful at first, but once you've suggested those things, the shortcuts and language features and syntax and best practices, then that opportunity, it turns, it's painful, but it turns into an opportunity, and the knowledge gets transferred quickly through the team. So there may be somebody sitting on a prime piece of information, and then it gets shared that way. It comes out and somebody will say, oh, I've had that over and over again in our meetup. Somebody will sit down and we'll work through a bit of code, and we get the guys coming from, surprisingly, from all over, and they'll say, oh, that's I learned something today, even though we're just working on some basic little simple thing, because the meetup is short. So There does need to be some etiquette. So when you're working in the shared space, um, you're literally in control of that space for a short period of time. So you could affect it either for better or worse. I noticed that Kevin was talking a little bit as he was looking around. He's saying, "Oh, I've got 2 chats open and it's hard." And I think he kind of looked down the hall and he said, "I think somebody's coming home soon." And so that's what I mean is narrate a bit as you're working to share your thoughts with your coworker. It helps them. There's people that are, when they're not saying anything, it means they're not thinking anything. They're just thinking, "Oh, shoot, I don't know what to do next." And then there's other people when they're, the wheels are turning and the smoke is coming out just because they're not. But it would be good to hear what they're thinking because that's part of this. Then the most terrifying part, which it's fun if it's just crazy and anybody can type stuff, but if you let more than one person type in the file, literally that when it compiles, things can be kind of really out of sorts. And so it is possible to work in the same file, but it can be pretty crazy. So one of the ideas would be maybe to work in separate files if you both have to work at the same time. And then before doing a commit, you want to close all the tabs because, think about it. If you've got several people with all their tabs open and you do a commit and then somebody clicks on, do you want to reload this file? And it was really just what was on their screen, it could make kind of a mess of things. So terminology, well, I should get some feedback here on the chat at this point, just to make sure that everybody can hear me. I've got a thumbs up from Daniel. Is everybody there? Just want to make sure that I haven't lost everybody. I can't hear anything. No, but I'm not getting any feedback. Okay, great. All right. And so are there any at this? I can't see anybody frowning or checking your emails or whatever. Is everybody on board with this? Okay, great. So you can't wait for the demo. Good. Okay, so we've got to go ahead and keep working on it from Treefish. Thank you. So when we're in the same space, you've got to pick something. And right now we're using Google Hangouts. That's the same space thing. And then the terminology at the same computer, we have to have some kind of remote service that's going to be Cloud9. And there's some others that we've fiddled with, and Plunker is one, but it doesn't have all the features. And it looks like the screens, when I'm talking, as I speak, the screens don't switch as quickly, and so I may be getting a little bit ahead of the screens as I speak. Hopefully that's not too big a problem. And so just a little bit of a selling point. Of course, I'm not selling anything. I don't make any money from Cloud9, but it's just a tool that we found that works. So you've got a folder navigator that you would just totally expect that to be there, a code editor that's called the ACE code editor, and a command line. So you're able to do pretty much everything on the command line that you would expect to be able to do. You've got full control over that. And so yeah, so now you guys can see the screen. It looks like it's hard for me to tell when you guys see that stuff and how long it takes for it to pop up, but I do. So I'm going to switch screens. There's some references. I'm not really going to go through those, but they're there for you on the slide share that I shared earlier. and I shared that in the Hill Country JavaScript in the Gitter chat. So this is a next invitation, and so we've had several people. Hang on a second here. I've got to get this screen blown up.
Hey Joe, really quick. There's a bar at the bottom of the screen saying Google Hangouts is sharing your screen with Hangouts Google Chrome. Can you just hide that? Awesome. Thank you. And also this screen sharing, the slides changes and your voice should be going out at the same time. So you don't really have to worry about that.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it's hard for me to tell because I've got the mute turned on the other screen that I'm looking at. So I
Yeah,
can,
the YouTube.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the YouTube on another screen, and then it comes up a little bit later,
Yeah,
and
they get the voice at the same time as this
okay,
slides. So
so
it's slower.
I don't have to worry too much.
Yeah.
So just to move on, so we can get to the collaboration part. There was some. Shared this slide a little earlier on the. Oh, here we go. So this is for me to know. This is what I have to do on my side. I have to manage the team membership, and I enter the email in the Cloud9 screen, and then it sends an invitation to the guests. And the guest will receive an invitation by email. And when they click on that link, it will take them to another screen that says, "Welcome to Cloud9. You've been invited to join Tacoma JS Hualalai," which is, I think that's a mountain in Hawaii. And then you click on Create New Account. And then there's a bunch of screens that you have to go through. You have to create your name and then a username, and it says tell us about yourself, but really you just click on student and coursework. I'm not sure how much they need to know, and for this particular event, and then you just confirm everything and say yes to that, and then at the very last thing they're going to ask you to do a CAPTCHA to make sure that it's not a robotic thing. And then finally, you'll get a screen that says join the team. And I believe then you'll be in. You'll have a Cloud9 panel, and that's it. And so we don't care about this. This was my next slide share, but I think I can turn that off. It looks like what I need to do is go to cloud9.io. And so is there a way for me to temporarily, oh, there it is. So if I click on stop sharing, will I be disconnected from the, I might be.
No, it should just stop sharing the screen.
Okay, and then I can share again in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Trifish Zhang has a question. Does getting invitation mean read-only access? Because hers is read-only right now.
Uh, Initially, everybody's access will be read-only, and then um, what we'll do is we'll turn on using that model, the a mob programming model where there's a navigator and a driver. We'll turn on one person's write access, and then they'll have the ability to um, yeah, to write code, and then on a second here, we go to the admin part here. See if I've got.
So in other words, the driver assigns one person to have.
Well, maybe more the administrator.
Okay.
So I know what I.
Right. So.
Yeah, and I'm going to be I'm the administrator. So there's really a third person in there. There's the driver, the navigator, the audience, and then that third person is um, the admin.
Okay.
I'm working on it here, trying to get. So did I share the screen again, or are you just looking at me?
We're looking at you right now.
Great. All right. So what I have to do, I think I can go back now.
Mm-hmm.
And turn the screen on. Except I have to find the screen share.
If you move your mouse to the left side, there should be a screen share button. It's a green button with an arrow.
Oh, in Google Hangout.
Yes.
I have to go through it. It has to tell me.
All right. We're seeing your screen right now.
I did a dumb thing. See if I can undo it. I moved a tab from to a new window. There we go. Got it back.
Ah.
But can you see the screen now?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay. It's kind of funny that I'm sitting right here. Wonder why it takes so long to show up on my desktop here. All right. So now you should see over here. We've got on the right-hand side in the middle of the page, it says Treefish is here and Daniel is here. Do we have any other people that applied by email? Oh yeah, here's another one. We've got a couple more people here that it's going to take a minute for them to get logged in. And I will just do that. And so I'm sort of managing these things on multiple machines to try to do this. So Segi2 is going to get an email shortly. And Larry Gonzalez will get an email shortly. All right, so if you were following along in the invitation to collaborate slides, that's what you should be getting. That email will have you click on a link and then follow the instructions after that. So right now, I'm going to grant. So can you see my screen? Oh yeah, you can see my screen. So I'm going to grant access to both Treefish and to Daniel, and I'm giving everybody read access right now until so one of the things that happens with this is that the bash shell will be um, as small as the smallest shell, the screen part. So if you can't see your bash shell very much, it's because somebody has it small. So it's the smallest part. So can everybody see? Uh, okay, I was just looking at the chat over in YouTube. I want to make sure that everybody can see. So there's also a chat on the lower right-hand corner in, oops, I'll enter my message here. Not that we want to have 3 chats going, but what it can do is give us, right, great, thanks, Daniel. So I want to make sure before I get going too far that we have everybody on board. I want to just get a thumbs up and make sure that there's people that need to, or so I'm not blazing too far ahead. Or if everybody's okay with just watching, that's okay too. We've got a couple of people on, and just let me know if somebody else needs to be granted access. So there are some features that you can probably already see. There's the file structure tree, and there's a bash terminal here, a bash shell. So you can do things in there like ask it if there's a node version, and of course, want to know npm true like that. So you can run things in the bash shell. You can create files and make directories, and they show up over here in the file structure. And I'm going to make the README a little bit bigger there. This is the preview. So it's just a contrived example. We're not trying to, I'm not pretending like this is the world's best code, but it's just to show how we make some changes. And our goal today would be to write a new function in the calculator app. And I've given away what that functionality is. We're just adding a couple of numbers or subtracting, whatever the function is, and write some tests to pass both on the command line and in the browser. So this code is intended to work both in the browser and on the command line. So what you need to know there is, if you want it to see the code working in the browser, let's go farther down. I'm just going to scroll down, and you can click on this link, and then we'll scroll back to the top. Actually, I don't see it there. There was a link. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, oh, here it is, right here. So if you right-click on that, and it says Open Link in a new tab, let's see what happens. That is not the correct. Oh yeah, it is. It's the correct link. So right there is some just some warnings. It just says, hey, we're just testing. It won't run for a long time, and it's a preview to show that it works. Be responsible, blah, blah, blah. So, and don't use real names and passwords. Now it says that it can't get to that link, and that's probably okay. I'm going to go back and restart that. See, it says that it was exited, and it was So I'll restart that process. And then I'll refresh the screen and see if
I'm sorry, I think we lost your audio. I'm not hearing anything from you. Could someone confirm? Okay. Yeah, we lost your audio, your microphone.
hey, thanks guys.
Okay, cool.
I was banging away on the keyboard. I hit the mute button apparently. So I'm glad you didn't hear all those terrible things I said. Just kidding. Um, but I'll go back a little bit. One of the things I was asking is um, if there's two more people that are still struggling to get onto the um, into the workspace. They applied, they sent their email to me, and I just need to know uh, if it's working out for them. Oh, well, I'll keep going then. So I see you guys are now. Treefish asked about the parentheses around um, the bash script. And the reason for that is I could do something like I could do cd into test. So I've changed into the test directory. So now you can see down here that I'm in the test directory. And then I could run Jasmine like that. Whoops, but I haven't learned to type in all these years. And the test runs, but now you can see that I'm still in the test directory. And so I have to cd change directory up one directory if I want to work in the main workspace. And so, for example, if in that main workspace, let's see if I go down one directory, if I go back into test, I type get status, it works. So because it goes up a directory anyway. So um, the whole point of that is it runs those commands. It creates a subshell. That's the short version of that. The parentheses create a subshell. And so I see that there's a need to get to the correct workspace. And if you switch over to contributors, there's should be a link. One of the last items in the let me see if I can switch over to that so you can see it. Oh, mama, here it is right here. So right there, there's the link that you want to go to. All you have to do is click on that and it'll take you to that. So I'm who do we have some volunteers to be the driver and navigator? I could be the initial navigator. All right, so I'll turn Treefish. You're going to have control of the workspace, and so one of the things that you're going to see right first off is that our Git status in the Bash screen is not we're not up to date yet, and so what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to do an update there. So we can start fresh. And I put some of those commands. I'm not sure what level everybody is with the Git command line, but some of the things that you might want to know are right here. And so I'm going to turn this on. Now, I'm a little surprised that we don't have any audio, so that we can all talk. That would certainly be better.
I don't know how to invite other people into the Hangouts page.
For audio.
Yeah.
That's okay. We can maybe we'll just do it by chat. It'll take a little bit longer, but I'll just walk through it, and if there's a question, right? Yeah, she's trying to drive. That's okay. I see that. And so what we need to do is, and I'll be navigator for a minute or two, and then we can switch. So we need to, in the bash shell, down at the bottom of the screen. Oh, and here, okay, so here's a note. It says your terminal is in collaborative mode. When you share your workspace with others, they can use your terminal as well. Some side effects are that the terminal view will only be as large as the smallest view of all collaborators. The rest of the space is unavailable. Also, you can't scroll back the history. I know you guys can read, but this is kind of a gotcha that people that are doing this they are surprised by that. So I'm going to click on OK. So are you in the? There you go. So that shows the whole log of all the commits. Okay, and so the history command shows all of the commands that we just issued recently. And it looks like, so what you want to do is you want to do a git add dot, and that will add the files that are in staging to be committed. So you type git, yes, add, and the dot is an all command, and that means it worked, yes. And let's see, I forgot what we were doing, but we can just say that we added, let's say we added the reference, add reference, command line references, add command line references. Kind of guessing, I don't remember exactly, but so then it's added. So if we did a git status, now you would see that that's should be up to date. Great. Okay. So let's look at our README and just make sure that we understand some parts of the program. So our goal is to write a new function for the calculator and write some tests to pass. So you might wonder where the tests are. And so if you look over in the left-hand side in the tree structure, there's a file called calculator_spec.js, and looks like I might already have it open. Yeah, so we can't read on this screen. I can't, it's too small to read. Have the README open and calculator spec open at the same time. So the question, so if Treefish, if you click in that screen, your color will be kind of a purplish cursor, or maybe blue. So there's somebody that has a blue cursor there. That might be Treefish's cursor. Are you there? Right, you're in the purple cursor. So if you move it up and down, you'll see what your cursor is doing. I think you might have to click in calculator spec.js right in that. That might be me. I might have a gray cursor. No, I have orange. Oh, yeah, the cursor in, that's right. You want the cursor in calculator_spec, not calculator math. Yeah, now we've got, okay, so and Daniel is the yellow one. Huh, okay. So let's scroll down a little bit in there. Actually, I got to keep my cursor still and not mess with it. I'm supposed to be the navigator and quit. So if you scroll down, and I should do a little question. Who is familiar with Jasmine, or is anyone familiar with Jasmine, I guess? So Treefish is asking about the colors. of the cursors, and right here you can see the in the right hand side where it says workspace members, there's a little colored bar, and it shows, and you know, the colors might be on each person's screen might be a little different the way I see it, and the way, so it doesn't have to be exactly, you just know that it's somebody else's color. So then when you see the cursor on the screen, and then you also see there's color over here that shows who's done an edit, then you know that somebody has all right, hang on a second here. So Melody is asking, has, not sure. Melody, I think that you have to there's something that you have to click in your screen that says that you want into this workspace. It might be at the top of the screen, or it might be over in the, I am not sure how to get, let me click, I'm going to change some screens here for a minute. Just see if, let's see if we can get, so here you can see that I'm going over and managing that file, or the workspace. And let's see if I can do an invitation to by username. Okay, so we're back. So let's take, Treefish says that she's familiar with Jasmine, and I'm back looking at that screen again for calculator underscore spec, and that is a Jasmine file, and at the top of this Jasmine file, we're detecting whether Node is being loaded, or if it's in a browser window, or if it's not in Node. Basically, it doesn't check to see if it's in a browser, but if it's not Node. And so, and the path to our test file is right there. I'm going to click on, highlight that, so that you can see that the test path is called software under test path. And if you scroll down in the Jasmine file, you'll see that there's some specifications. And first one is describe addition. And we've created some ideas for some rules that we think that we should follow for addition. But there's no test for subtraction. So maybe the first thing we should do is write a test for subtraction. And one way to do that, I don't know, we could discuss it, but one way might be to just copy and paste the addition file and go through and start changing the text in the addition file, there you go. Wow. I'm going to scroll down on my screen so everybody can see. So there we've pasted so what are you going to do with that? Oh yeah, that's probably good. So now what you're probably going to want to know the name um, of the function. So if you switch over to calculator math.js, you can see the function names. They're also listed in the README. Scroll down in the README a little bit, you can see the names of the functions here. So subtract vars, cm.subtract vars is the name of the subtract function. Oops. Okay, so I'm switching back to the calculator spec. So I'm going to just narrate a little bit. It looks like Treefish is going right ahead with this. And so she's looking at, we should test, you're right, she's asking, should we test 3 minus 1 equals 2? And so she's going ahead with that. And so we say expect total, but it shouldn't be greater than, it should be maybe 2b would be the right thing. So expect total dot 2b parentheses 1. Well, leave it, yeah, change diff to, you probably don't want to change your oh, I see. I guess you could, right, you could call it diff. The test, the test will still work out just fine. So now you want to save the file. I don't know if you can save the file. I'll save it. Read write. Yeah, you should be able to save the file. Have you saved the file? You'll have to probably chat with me to tell me when you've saved the file. So Treefish, oops. Looking for save button. Oh, thank you for asking. So if you go click on the file tab at the top, right along the top, you can see that there's a save in the menu. And of course, Control S also does the save, just like you would expect. So just let me, were you able to find the save button, Treefish? I'm looking to see if I'm going to manage an account here. I'm going to see if I can get Larry Gonzalez triggered. Oh, that's interesting. So, well, maybe I'm the only one allowed to save. That doesn't make sense exactly, but so I will save it. Uh, yeah. So, okay, so I saved it, and yeah, you're right. So we've now it's time. It's been I haven't been keeping track of the time, but it's time for somebody else to step in and try their. You're right. So Treefish is saying she doesn't want to hug the whole thing. She's done a good job, and if we were all in the room, we could probably clap or high five or something. But we'll just do a virtual high five. So who wants to be next? So I'm going to turn Melody. Can in the chat if you can say yes or no. I'm going to turn your read write authorization on, and uh, so what Treefish told us is that once we've saved the file, and once I kick her out of the screen and kick her out, I mean, I just switch her to read only. She says my code assumes my color and the active driver is gray. So there's a couple of chats, Melody, that I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if she got disconnected or not.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Well, let's pick somebody else. Is Larry there? And if she comes back on,
yeah.
we can turn. Or you, Daniel. Do you want to be
All right, sure.
all right? Well,
I have no idea what I'm doing. Perfect.
okay, that's the whole point of. So we'll just do and
Mm.
people in the chat on the Node School can then, if they want to make a comment, then they can help you with. And plus, so did you type get status?
Sure.
No, did you?
Oh no, I haven't yet.
Somebody typed get status, or maybe that was just from. I'm not sure what.
Previous.
Yeah, you could type get status and see what's going on.
All right. So we see that there has been changes, and we'll probably want to either test it or push it.
Oh, right. We're still, yeah, we're still in the test phase. So there's two ways to test this. One is using that code that we looked at earlier, which you can just copy and paste right out of our README, which is right. It's right down kind of middle of the. It's the parentheses, CD test colon Jasmine end parentheses. So if you copy and paste that into the command line, that'll run the test.
Mm-hmm. I run it and I see 6 specs, 1 failure.
So it's going to be of course, the code that we
Uh-huh.
just wrote, right?
Yeah.
Because we didn't make any other changes.
Right.
Gives us a hint. It says type error. CM subtract vars is not a function.
Mm-hmm.
And so my first guess is
To check what the
spelling.
function actually is. I checked on calculator math and I saw that it was sub bars. Made a change, saved it, and we can rerun the test.
And it passes.
Yep.
So let's see. There must be. I think we did exactly what we said we were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so the problem was not in the calculator underscore math file. The problem is actually in the README.
Ah, okay.
CM dot subtract bars. So we should probably also fix the README because Treefish did exactly what we were talking about, right? I said, oh look, you can
Right. Yeah.
use the README, and so she did that, and so the README has a problem. So if you click on the README,
Mm-hmm.
scroll down to wherever that is, there it is, yeah,
All right.
and then
So just
change it to sub.
sub bars.
Right. So the question now is, do we suspect the entire README? Right. See how I've capitalized the. I might have made a mistake in the README. There wasn't any way to. There's no test for the README, right? I just probably ad libbed. So go back to our calculator spec file and look at that. Right, it's lowercase, add capital VARS, lowercase.
Right.
Well, at least we know those two are. We really haven't tested the other ones yet, but probably they should be with lowercase according to if we were using camel case convention.
Mm-hmm.
So might as well just go ahead and change them, and we'll fix those later.
Okay. Uh, so it's actually kind of neat that when I type in the M, it gives me the options or potential options from different uh, from the different files.
So it's
So
going out and looking for CM dot, and it's telling you what what to auto populate there,
yeah,
auto complete.
yeah. So it knows that I want to find function in these files.
So I'm going to just click on save, okay?
Okay.
And then, so now, do you want to run the test again?
Sure.
Did it
Yes.
run? Ran
Yeah.
okay.
6 specs and 0 failures.
So I'm going to, on my screen, what did I do with that? So over on the YouTube Hangout, I've clicked on a web page that's served towards that project. We're running an Apache server, and I'm gonna refresh that screen, and we should see also that code also works in the browser and gets tested. Are you with me there, Daniel?
Yes.
Okay. So the point of this isn't necessarily to write calculator code, but to give people experience running, doing having the experience. So is there anybody else? For example, I guess Larry's still looks like he's logged in. I don't know if he can hear us. Maybe I'll chat with him. Maybe he can just hear from the chat. See from the chat. I'm chatting in both places here to see. Okay, Larry says that he's there. I'm going to just, yeah, so he says he has a lag from the tube, but he can hear me. So it's hard to tell exactly how long the lag is, but I'm going to turn him on, and we'll just, if we do it by chat, so Daniel, I'm going to set you to read only.
Sure.
You should notice the color come back to your screen, and I'm going to turn Larry to read write. I'll make a note for him. So one of the things that is pretty cool is that that you have functionality as far as, hey, we're running a little overtime. Is everybody okay with the timing? Just do a chat there and see if everybody's okay with the timing. I say that because I heard car doors closing outside. I think I might be close to done too. Okay, so I'm getting some yeses that we're okay with the timing. I'm gonna have to wave at my wife pretty soon. She's gonna come open the door and wave hi to me. So, well, we should check the Larry. We should check the status in the command line. You should type something like get status, so we can see. If we have to do a commit, or yeah, that's what, there you go. So he's doing get status. And so there's some things, in there that we just changed. It says we've modified them, and it matches what I remember. We changed the calculator spec and we changed the README. So you can do a get space add space period, and that will add all of those files to be staged for a commit. And then get commit space dash m for message, and then space, and then quote marks. And we add a test for subtraction. So somewhere, before you don't hit enter yet, somewhere I heard, oh, never mind, hit enter. That's, so I'll just make a, I'll say, everybody say hi to my wife. She's home from the gym. So I heard that it's good practice to not use past tense in the commit message, and I don't know why. It was somewhere in the yeah, I understand. I realized after I said that you had already probably pushed enter, and so and I don't, anyway, so that's fine. We'll just keep moving on. Um, do you, I guess the question is, where do you guys want to go from here? Do you want to add a new, is there something that you want to do? Oh, I know. I was gonna show you something called NodeMon, which is it's code that it'll refresh the code every time there's a change in it. It'll watch it and refresh it. I'm not sure if we should really do that. In fact, I think the question is, what questions do you have right now? Larry, you're in the driver's seat. Is there something that you have a burning, like, how do we do this? How do we do that? How do we use the tool? Treefish is pointing out that if we really had a problem with the message, if it just was completely the wrong message, that we could do a get amend to change the message. And we'd have to know what message that we're changing. So, and I have not used the amend command. Uh-oh. All right. So I'm not seeing any questions for anybody. I'll just I'll also put it in the chat. I'll put it in the chat on the Hangout also. So Larry, it's kind of a funny thing having a one-sided conversation, um, and not knowing exactly what your background is and what your you might just see in the right hand corner over here. There's a group chat in the IDE. Um, we could talk if you have some questions about things that. So, for example, um, let's see if we go. If we click on the calculator math, I'm going to just close the README. We're not. Uh, you can click on over here on the bar, on the number bar, the number lines, right? Well, just to the left of that, and a little red dot will be created. And then if you go to the debugger menu item on the it's kind of a tab on the right hand side of the screen, and you click on the debugger, it'll pop that up, and it should stop when you run the code. So if you type in the bash script, if you type our test code, which is that you may have to copy and paste it out of the README. It's that parentheses CD test. You can just copy and paste that from the README into the bash command line. It should run the code, and then it should stop at that line 20 where I put the breakpoint, and then we should be able to see some variables in the debugger. So I see something got pasted there. But that was probably in the just stored in the what do you call that when it's there you go. Oh, that's interesting. It ran the script, but it didn't trigger the debugger. So maybe, or maybe it triggered the debugger in your screen, but not in my screen. So let me try. Maybe each of us is running this sort of independently. Let me try on my screen. I'm going to copy and paste that. See if it runs the. All right. Well, it looks like we've got some stuff over here in the debugger now. So in order to get, so Larry's saying that he didn't get the debugger on his screen, and so it's interesting that that message showed up on the right-hand side of my screen, and it's buried by the debugger, but it popped up just temporarily so I could see it. So Larry, on the right-hand side of the screen, there's a menu item that's tipped sideways, and it says debugger. And if you click that, it'll just push out and then there's just above that there's a collaborate button. So for example, let's see, debugger. button is on the side of the screen. Right. I just put that in there because there may be some people watching this, since it's a video that way. So the debugger should pop open, and there's some stuff in there, some breakpoints, and I'm not sure if it makes any sense. So to me, it looks like it might be giving us some information from the test file, possibly. Because it's running something called console log. Let's see if I don't see any place where there's in our calculator math. There's nothing under console log. I don't know where console log. Is there something? Let me see if I can find. So there is a find feature in this. If you click on the screen that you want to find something, and then you just start, it'll click Command or Control F, and on Macs it might be Command F rather than Control. So I've typed in the control file the total is, and I'm not sure that I see it anywhere. So that's kind of curious. I didn't find anything in that. Let's try find it in calculator math. See if there's nothing in there either. So I don't know. That's curious, and we'd have to look into it some more. So what kind of a move do you want to make here, Larry? Do you want to try adding a function or adding a test? Similar to what you could add an easy thing to do would be to add a subtraction test to the calculator spec. So for example, scroll down in the test. Down to the subtraction test, you'll see that we've subtracted two positive numbers. We subtracted 3 minus 1 should be 2. But what happens if you subtract two minus numbers? So what you'd want to do is get your cursor into first get the file open, calculator underscore spec. Okay, so I'm going to answer some questions here. Treefish had some questions, and Daniel answered. I'm just going to agree with that. So I'm going to answer. So the question was that Treefish asked is, so the navigator needs to set up a Hangout session besides invite people on C9, and the screen at C9 is not real time. But the answer is and then she has another question too, but I'm going to answer these questions one at a time. So Daniel says C9 is real time, and the Hangout helps with voice chat. And I'm agreeing with Daniel on that. That is correct. Um, and then the script at the top of the calculator spec is to be added to all the spec files on C9. And I think that you're talking about, uh, Treefish is asking about the top of the spec file. And that's where we're loading the software under test. I assume that's, I'm going to ask that just confirm that. Right, right, that's right. So she's asking about the software under test path. And well, if there were further specs that were needed to test the calculator math, then those other specs would need that. But it could be that this spec would be enough to test calculator math. So I'm going to just say if this spec enough to test calculator math, make sure, yeah. Then there would be no need to copy it. But if you're running multiple specs, if you get tired of writing in this file and this file is perfect and you want to add some more specs, then you would definitely have to copy those lines of code in order to get that script loaded. Hope that I've answered that correct adequately. Okay, so Larry, I see that you're working in it looks like you're going to copy something in the addition. So if you've selected it, and if you just do Control C, and then drag that down, or not drag it, you want to leave that there. So you Control C, copy it, and then go down into the subtraction spec, and then paste that in there just like you've done. That's great. So subtraction of negative numbers should result in So do we agree with that? Do we agree that minus 1 should be less than 0? Well, what if, yeah, so this is tricky, right? So if you do minus 1, it might be better to do, I was using general cases when we did the addition, and some of those general cases worked out okay. But what if you have minus 1 plus or minus 1, then it would be equal to 0, right? Minus 1 minus 1 should equal 0. So do you see how Treefish did the note at the top? She just very specifically identified just one specific calculation. So she said 3 minus 1 should be 2. So if we did minus 1 minus with, yeah, I see what you're doing. Okay, keep my mouth shut for a minute. So we'll have to give Treefish a pat on the back for the genius of that. It makes it very simple. So I'm just looking at the code to see if I like it, and uh, you know, I'm wearing glasses and we've been looking at the screen all day. I guess I like it, but we'll know in a second when you run some tests. So I'm going to just save the file because I'm not sure if you guys are able to save it. So I'll save the file, and then if you go to the bash command line and run the parentheses, you have to copy and paste out of the README, run the copy and paste the parentheses, cd test colon jasmine n colon. That'll run the test to see if our new spec, just like that. So we used to be equal, and it says to be equal is not a function. So of course we were kind of ad-libbing there, right? Not knowing for sure if that was the correct thing to do or not, but it sounded good. But if you go over to the Jasmine, and now I've switched out of Cloud9, and should be at least on the screen share, you should be able to see some Jasmine specs. So if you go on the right hand side of that screen and click on the archive, then you can do a find. So there's to be, and there's no to be equal in that list. So you might have to just take out the equal and see if the to be is enough. I'm going to search down and see if I can find. Oh, so the other way to do it is say to equal without B in there. So it's TO capital EQUAL. So you delete B. That's right, and that's right. So that should pass. I'll save the file since we're not sure if anybody else can save it. Oh, it's grayed out for me. I can't save it. You must have saved it. So now you want to go down into the command line and run the test again. The parentheses cd colon jasmine and parentheses. Oh no! So we something's going on here. Sorry. there. So I just saved it. So it looks like even we all have access. You know, when there's two of us on the screen here, um, when I push the up key, it puts CD test :Jasmine on the command line, even though I wasn't the last one to type it, because we're all pretty much sharing the same terminal. So, but I'm not supposed to be driving. Okay, and Larry said he saved too, and I saved. So go ahead and run the test, Larry. So high five all the way around. We've got 7 specs and 0 failures. We should also be able to um, see that same spec run over here in the browser. Yeah. So there's some interesting things about this too that we could explore as a different topic. But if you click on any one of these, it'll rerun the test. So it'll either rerun a single test or whatever. So I'm getting some clicks. So I'm thinking that we've might have reached our limit on how long people would want to be part of this. We're not really getting, it's all volunteer, right? We're not getting paid to be here. So uh, if hopefully uh, yeah, so there's some questions here. And so it says Dan has asked if it's mostly for teaching. And oh, all right. I'm getting some emoji claps too from Daniel and from Treefish. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate that. Um, thank you very much for being part of this. And hopefully, I'll be invited back someday. Since I'm in Tacoma, it's quite a long trip, but it makes it a lot easier when we can do it by remote. So um, there, how do we do a final end to this?
Well, I want to thank you for sharing this with us, and I think this is actually a really great presentation for our first online testing. Uh, since we just switched to this format, I figured it was very apt for it. Uh, and yeah, I have no idea how to close this. So thank you.
And maybe if we all just leave, it'll quit by itself or something.
Yeah, I think that's how people do it, right? See ya.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I guess that's it. We'll just all say goodbye and until next month or next till next time. See you later.
Yeah.